My name is Lucia, and as Martin said, we are from the company who developed the application. So today I'm going to show you how to use it. First, let me show you what we're going to cover today. So first, we're going to look at the overview of the system. So as a big picture, what the system contains, how does it work at a high level? And then we go into individual features. We look at how you can access the application, how to sign up and log in, how you can approve user accounts, one of the most important ones, how we create the reports, how the reports need to be moderated, how we publish them, how the public can view all the reports and the scorecards. So this is the high-level overview. So you can see in this image, this is the database of the system. Inside a database are two main things. First are the reports, and then we have all of the user accounts. Users need to apply for an account. You sign up, you enter all of your details, and then your account has to be approved. So someone has to review the details, and only approved engineers, you can see the first person here, only an approved engineer can create a report. The report is created on their own devices. So you can use any mobile device, iPad, any phone. You create the report and then you submit it. At this point, no one can see the report. Only authorized people can view that report. So the report has to be moderated, and this is moderated by managers. Once the report is moderated, then it will be publicly viewable. So anyone accessing a website, that particular URL, can view a list of all of those reports that have been submitted and published, and they can see the scorecard as well. So at a high level, this is what the system does. So let's see, first, how can we access the system? You use your phone, and if you are an Android user, use the Chrome browser. If you are an iOS user, if you have an iPhone, use Safari. So use your default browsers on your phone. This is the URL that you will use, nigeria.infrastructurereportcard.info. So you enter that URL into your address bar and it will take you to a website. It is the same URL that the engineers will use to submit a report, and it's the same URL that the public will access to view all of the reports and the scorecard. What we can see here on the screenshot as well is, for the first time when you access that URL within your browser, it will give you a pop-up to say that you can add these websites to your home screen. So it's like a shortcut. You will have the icon on your desktop within your phone, so it's much easier for you to access instead of you entering that long URL every time you want to access it. So it's a good shortcut for you to add to your desktop, to your home screen. So next is, how do we sign up for an account? After you access that URL, you go to that website, you will see the hamburger on top left. After you click on that, it will open up the menu. So all of the pages within that application. And you will see, for engineers only, you will have an option to sign up. So after you sign up, you enter all of your details. Then you need to wait for a notification to come back to you by email to say that your account has been approved. So between the time you sign up and you receive that email, someone has to manually go into the system to review your account and approve it. And only after you receive that approval email, only then you can come back and sign in or log in to the system. We need to wait for that email to come back, and only then you're able to log in. So let's assume that you've signed up, your account has been approved, and you've logged into the system. You will then have further options. First one is My Account. My Account is where you update your personal details. So let's assume that you've changed your email address or you've changed the organization. So this is where you would go into My Account to update those details. Next option is create reports. That's one of the most important ones. So we'll go into more detail about that one on the next slide. And then we have draft reports. Draft reports is an area where you will see any reports that you've created but haven't submitted yet. So you may have created only reports only partially, only submitted only filled in some of the fields, and you may want to save it and submit it later. So you would have them saved in this area. You also have queued reports. This application also works offline. Offline meaning that you have accessed the website, you've saved it to your desktop, you visited that page, and then as you work in the field, you may lose connection. The application will still work offline as long as you have accessed that page before. So if you submit reports while you're offline, those reports will not be sent straight away, but you will see them in this option, queued reports. So they're saved within your phone. And only after you gain connection and manually submit those reports, then they will be sent off to the main server, to the main database that we've seen on one of the first slides. One of the important things to note, need to be aware of, the draft reports and queued reports are saved on your phone and only for as long as you are logged in. So if you have many queued reports and many draft reports and you log out, all of those reports will be lost. So be careful not to log out. And you shouldn't have any reason to log out if using your own device unless you were sharing. It's just something to be aware of. Another option is send reports. So as an engineer, you'll be going into the field, you'll be submitting different reports. Let's say you would have submitted 100 by now. And you may not remember perhaps whether you submitted a particular report. So you will have a list of all of the previously submitted reports in the send reports menu option. Okay, so let's see the create report feature in more detail. This is what it looks like, the screen for submitting reports. The first option is to choose image, and you have two options. If you click on choose image, you can either take an image directly with your phone camera, or you can select a photo from your picture gallery. So maybe you've taken that picture previously. So there are two options. Then you give your report a title, give it a description, you choose a grade, you choose the sector, subsector, and aspect, and then you have location. On your phone, make sure that your location is turned on because it's much easier for the phone to pick up the location than you try to describe the location. Also, the GPS is used to then mark a particular report within a map. So it's important that you have the GPS enabled. But if for any reason the GPS is not working, then you can describe the location. And then you submit the report. Okay, this is what I mentioned already. Now, one thing to beware is for the GPS. As I mentioned, when you're choosing the image, you have two options. You can also select an image that you previously have taken. But if you're submitting a report not within the location of where that infrastructure is, then the GPS may not be accurate. Let's say you've taken a picture in Abuja and then you go back home to Port Harcourt and you submit that report. The location of the GPS or of that report will be showing in Port Harcourt, not in Abuja, where that infrastructure is. Again, something to be aware of. When you're submitting reports, ideally you're submitting them at the location of that infrastructure. If you're not at that location when you're submitting it, then you need to specify in that location description where that infrastructure is. Okay, so that's submitting reports by the engineer. Now we mentioned that after reports are submitted, they are not publicly viewable. There is another step in the process. All of the reports that are submitted by the engineers need to be then moderated. And there will be designated people who will be moderating these. There is a different URL for the administrators. You can see it's the same as before, but you have the -admin after Nigeria. The red one is highlighting a difference. After you go to that URL, you need to log in. and then you'll have an option for the content in the top left. After you click on the content, actually, let me show you in here. I'm going to show you now the backend for the administrator. You can see in the top left, you have the content. If I click on the content, I can see all the reports that were submitted. There are only 3 reports at the moment. These are the ones that I just created myself yesterday, and one was created by Martin. So you can see here who is the author, so who submitted that. 2 were by me, 1 was by Martin. You can see when it was created, when it was updated. What is the moderation status? We can see the first one needs to be reviewed. These 2 are already published. We can see the grade, the sector, subsector aspect. And then for each report, if I need to review it, I need to click on edit. And then I have all the information for that report. And then I can choose whether it has all the necessary information. And I can change to published and save. And it is at this point that the report will be viewable by public. So this is the process. Now, I only have 3 reports at the moment, but eventually we'll have hundreds, thousands of them. And there'll be different people moderating different sectors. You have an option to filter. So let's say that you're responsible for a particular category. Let's say you're responsible for housing. So if I click on housing and click on filter, it will only show me all the reports belonging to that sector and subsector. So that's useful. And also I can filter by moderation state. So let's say I only want to see the ones that need review. So if I filter, I see there are no reports. That means all of the ones within the category that I'm responsible for have already been moderated. So this is the process for moderating reports. Next, how can we view all of these reports that have been moderated, that are available for the public? Within the app, again, if you click on the hamburger and you go to home, you will see a list of all of the reports that have been submitted and approved. You have filters again, so you can filter by different conditions. Let's say I only want to see the ones that have grade F. So those are the ones that are in need of repair. Or I only want to see the ones within a particular sector. So I can filter those reports. I can also filter by when they were submitted, maybe within a particular date range. Or I can also search for a specific report by their ID. Actually, let me go to the live site and show you the view here. So I'm going to the homepage. Now there are only 3 reports. Remember, the brick one is the one that we just published. So that's why we can see it here now. We also have a map view. So if I click on here, I can switch between list and map. If I click on map, I see where those reports are located within a map. I can zoom in. I can see one is in Abuja, and you can see the icon. We have a map legend here. You can see that that icon belongs to transportation, and the other one belongs to water and sanitation. We also have the legend for the different grades, what those different colors mean. This one is in Calabar. If I click on it, it will take me to a particular report. I have some more information as well. I can see the report ID, exactly where it is. And for the map, we also have a satellite view. Again, you can zoom in to get a bit more detail. So this is the map feature. And this is where I mentioned that if you don't submit the report at the location where that infrastructure is located, then the GPS will be incorrect within the map. So something you need to be aware of. Okay. So this is how we view the published reports. So they're accessible by general public. You don't have to log in to view all of those reports. You don't have to log in to view this page. Okay, so the next feature is the scorecard. And this is the reason why all the reports are submitted in the first place, so we can have a scorecard of all of them, and we can see where particular sectors, subsectors, or particular aspects need our attention. So the dark within the table, the dark gray represents the sector, the light gray is the subsector, and the white ones are the aspects. If a particular subsector only has one aspect, is named all aspects. Now, we can see within these bar charts how many reports have been submitted for a particular aspect. So for buildings, hospitals, clinics, and all aspects, we can see there is only one report, and the grade for that report was E. And that's why the grade for the hospitals and clinics is also E, because it's taken from the aspect of that particular subsector. For the housing subsector, we have all aspects where we have 6 reports, and the grades for those 6 reports range from A all the way to E. And the way that the aspect grade is calculated is by median. So we look at the middle value. The little b in the middle represents where the median is. And because it is between A and B, the median is calculated as A/B. And for the institutions of learning, we can see there is only one report and the grade is A. So the sector grade is calculated as a median of its subsectors. So the E, A/B, and A is added together and we calculate the median. So that's why the sector grade is A/B, because it's the median of the E, A/B, and the A. So that's how it's calculated. You can see more explanation about how it's calculated within in here. So if we access the scorecards, now remember we only have 3 reports, so the scorecard looks a bit empty. What I want to show is at the bottom, you have an option to view grade calculations. So there is an explanation for how the grades are calculated. You can view this one in your own time. And also we have the score legend again to show what the different colors represent. Okay, so that was the scorecard. And then we have user managers. So I mentioned that anyone who wants to use the system to submit reports need to first register. After you register, your account needs to be approved. So let's see how that process works. If you go back to the backend, so that's nigeria-admin.infrastructurereportcard.info, then we have another option, top left, people. So one is content for the reports, and then we have people for the users. So these are all the users at the moment who have registered for an account within the system. It's only myself, Martin, and Martin. Once other people register, so once all of you create your account, you will appear in this list. And if someone needs to be approved, if I recognize them, I can just click on, I can select their name, action, I want to unblock that user, and then I apply to selected items. And that user will be approved at this point. But normally what should happen is after someone applies for an account, you want to edit their account because you want to view all of the details that they've submitted. I want to see the email address they've used. Let's see the user profile, the company they belong to, so I can verify their details. And only after I'm happy with their details, then I go back to edit and I need to change their status. So by default, when someone creates their account, it will be blocked. So all I have to do is click on active and click on save. And at that point, they will be able to log into the system and start creating reports. So this is the process for approving people, approving accounts. Now, in terms of system requirements, so what kind of device can you use? I won't go into much detail, but roughly speaking, without going into too much detail, is if your device is no more than 4 years, it should be working. If you are experiencing any issues, then please let us know. Please use the default browser, your Safari. If you're using Android device, please use Chrome browser. If you're experiencing issues, we have a link. Let me go back to the main site again. So if I go back to the front end, okay, and I go, again, I click on the hamburger and I can see within the options, I have the help option. If I click on help, I have several options. One is I can report an issue. So if I click on this form, let me open in a new tab. Here I can submit the issue that I'm having. So it will guide you through different steps. It will ask you for the type of device you have, type of browser, what is the issue that you're experiencing. And ideally, if you can, send us a screenshot so we can address that issue straight away. And then there are also guides. There are separate guides for engineers, moderators, and user managers. So when you click on that link, you'll have an option to download a PDF with detailed instructions how to use the application. So if you're an engineer, it will have instructions how to submit reports. If you're a user manager, it will give you instructions on how to approve accounts. And if you're a moderator of reports, it will give you step-by-step instructions how to approve the report in the system. So that's how to report issues and how to access the user guide. So what we covered is we had a general overview of the system, so how it works, and then we've looked at individual features, so how we can access the application, how you can sign up for an account, how you log in, how users can be approved in the system, how the engineers create reports, how the reports are moderated, and then how the reports are viewed. We've looked at the reports can be viewed in a list view or a map view, and also the map view can, there are different options for the map as well. You can see the terrain. And then we've looked at the scorecard, briefly mentioned how the scores are calculated. That's all from me.